Hi, I'm Greg from Pivot Stove and Heating, and today I'm in the coldest place imaginable, Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, to meet Rick from Pyroclassic Fires. Now, the Pyroclassic Fire is considered the lowest carbon, most highest efficient wood heater on the market, and there's so much hype and talk about it, we've come all this way to show it to you. So let's go inside, let's meet Rick and find out what all the hype is about with the Pyroclassic Wood Heater. Hey, Rick.
G'day, Craig.
Hey guys, this is Rick. Rick's from Pyroclassic here in New Zealand. Rick, for 30 years Pyroclassic's been around and they've claimed this is the most efficient heater on the market. Now it's available in Australia. Tell me, why is it so efficient?
Well, essentially it's because of the way it's made. So instead of having a conventional steel box, you've got a round cylinder inside it that's made of high aluminium ceramic cement, and we mould them by hand out of the factory, so they're cast in cylindrical tubes on the vibrating table, get all the air out of them and stuff, and then we air cure them afterwards. So yeah, they're fundamentally very different to a conventional wood fire.
So they're wrapped in insulation?
Yeah, then once we're in production, we take the moulds once they've air cured on the racks, and then they get an insulating wrap put around them, and then we wrap that within a steel band, so it has massive integral strength inside the fire.
So it's not a normal wood heater, obviously. So technically it's a wood-fired kiln almost, isn't it, in the construction?
Yeah, very similar to a kiln in its design. It takes the technologies from kilns and furnaces and applies it to this. Yeah.
And by doing that, we're able to achieve some fantastic results. So what is, you're telling me earlier, what is the efficiency of this heater?
Emissions from this fire are 0.3 grams per kilogram.
So you're saying 0.3?
Yeah, so in Australia your standard's 4 grams per kilogram is your standard. So this is 0.3 grams per kilogram emissions at 74% efficiency in a dry fire. If you put a wetback into this, that actually improves it even more, which is quite different to conventional wood fires that most of them end up with higher emissions when you put a wetback into them. This one gets cleaner. So this drops to 0.27 grams per kilogram with a wetback in it, and you gain another 18% efficiency with hot water.
So what's the efficiency with this unit then?
74% dry and about 84%, 85% with a wetback.
So as a dry unit, so if I put 100 doodads of fuel inside this unit, I'm going to get doodads. That's nice. A good way of explaining it. We're going to get 74 back in heat into the room.
Yes.
Oh, that is amazing. So it is one of the most efficient heaters on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean its emissions and efficiency are just fantastic. I mean, when you consider that an open fire returns about 10 to 15% efficiency, and this is 75%, I mean it's massive.
So for every 10% difference in the efficiency, roughly calculates about 1 tonne of wood difference. So if you're comparing the Pyroclassic heater at 74% to a heater which is approximately 55%, on average that's 2 tonne a year less wood you'll burn with this fire than anything else on the market.
Yeah, if you look at the efficiency numbers, yeah.
Now, notice there's no fan or air grills, so how does this thing get the heat into the room?
No, there's no air controls on the fire as such, like your traditional baffle that dampens the fire down. The Pyroclassic controls all of its air. So the turbo slide opens up a little hole just inside the firebox, and that allows air to be drawn in directly into the fire. So if you've got like an old-fashioned set of bellows that you used to pump on the fire, that's essentially what this does, but completely passively. There's no plug or fan or anything on the pyro.
And that works on both directions.
Yeah, it just blanks a little hole that's in the front here, and that just shoots air in. So when you initially start the fire, this turbo slide pretty much eliminates the old smoky startup problem. You just close the door, open the turbo slide, and she'll just build from there. And when you introduce fresh fuel, it allows you to just reignite that, get it burning well. So it just eliminates the smoky initial part of the burn process. When it's in the centre, then it's covered up the little hole here, and the fire's just taken over both its primary air inlets and its secondary air.
Well, these tubes inside of it, what is this that's not the wetback though, is it? What is that in?
That's the secondary air inlet. So for full combustion, for secondary combustion to take place, the oxygen entering the fire needs to be around and about 600 degrees air temperature. Okay. So by bringing it in the steel tubes over the top of the fire, that allows it to get superheated, so when it comes in, and that's why we can get the numbers that this can create, you know.
Now notice here you've got this big block of wood, the name stamped at the end of it. That's a massive block. That's, I think, what's around 450, 480 long?
Yeah, about 480 mils.
So you're telling me that's going to fit inside the heater?
Yeah, it's deceptive. Because it's got a small door, everyone thinks it's a little firebox, but because it's a north-south orientated firebox, it can swallow decent sized pieces of wood.
It's a big piece of wood.
Yeah.
So based on this, because we've got such great efficiency of the heater, we're getting, what, 12 hours of burn time?
Yeah, a good load of firewood into here will give you a 10 to 12 hour overnight burn.
Brilliant.
Easily.
Easy.
If you've got really nice, dry, good quality fuel, then you can stretch that out to 15 hours or so and still be able to relight the fire from ember within the firebox.
So we're saying almost a guaranteed overnight burn with this heater?
Yeah. I mean, most people sleep for 8 to 10 hours. I mean, I wish I could sleep for longer, but with kids it doesn't happen. So yeah, a normal overnight, easily achievable. You put some good density logs in there and she'll chug away overnight, no problem.
And because it's not a steel firebox, it's not going to cool down very quickly.
No.
It's like a kiln. You heat the kiln up and it holds the heat.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the cylinder itself has over 40 kilos of mass within it, and that has the ability to store huge amounts of excess heat and energy from the fire, and it can emit that out over a very long period of time. And it allows the fire to give you a more linear heat output. So where a conventional steel box can heat up very quickly but equally cools down very quickly, the mass in the cylinder of the Pyroclassic allows it to give you a much more even heat output over a longer period of time. Yeah, much more pleasant in the home.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the top on this is, how thick is the plate on the top?
The radiant cooktop and the door areas where the radiant heat comes from, this is a 10mm plate steel on top of it, so you can use it as a genuine cooktop surface, not a problem.
Now notice down here you've got a little weird device. What's that for?
Well, if you're already using your cooktop and you're doing your simmering and your boiling and stuff on there, then this just allows you to take the next step, if you like, and go to baking and roasting and that sort of stuff.
So it's like a Dutch oven?
Pretty much, yeah. Anything that I mean, it's essentially like a hood on a barbecue. It allows you to captures the heat and allows you to just do stuff in the oven like you would in your conventional oven.
What a brilliant idea. So you're utilising all the energy out of this as much as you
Pretty
can.
much, yeah.
So that 10mm is not the top of the firebox, your actual...
Combustion chamber's down here, yeah. So it's a dual chamber fire. You've got the combustion zone inside the ceramic cylinder itself,
Yeah.
and then the upper chamber is where the wetback would actually sit. So it's post-combustion, which is, it doesn't cool the firebox down.
So you mentioned wetback a couple of times, so we can definitely run hot water out of this. What kilowatt of hot water can we get?
Wetback's rated at 3.7 kilowatts.
So perfect for a stock standard low pressure hot water system.
Yeah, standard domestic hot water cylinder, not a problem. Yep,
Brilliant.
absolutely.
So the colours we've noticed, we've got this in the grey.
This is an antique steel,
Antique
this one
steel.
we're looking at, yeah.
And the...
Wineberry is the other colour that's available in Australia now, through you guys.
And through a full range of colours. How many other colours can we choose from here?
There's about 150 colours in the range, so there's a few to choose from, and they're all available as a custom option. Yep.
Fantastic. Well, mate, this is one fantastic little heater. It's so unique in the design. I love the option with the wood box you can put under it.
Yep.
Now, if you use the wood box, you don't need to use the hearth on this, do you? That is the hearth.
That is the hearth, yeah, that meets all the requirements for an insulating hearth. So that you can pop that straight down onto a timber or a carpet floor and you're done, yeah, that's it.
Oh, this is a fantastic heater. I'm Greg from Pivot Stove and Heating. I'm here with Rick, and this is the most high efficient heater available in the market, the Pyroclassic.
Yep.